Hello, bros. We return with the conclusion of The Plot to Kill JFK by David M. Warren, the explosive documentary novel of three men and their diabolical plot to assassinate John Fitzgerald Kennedy. This last section, a 4-page epilogue, which I've never read before, so it's all new to me as well. The last entry in the diary, which served as the basis for this book, was made on November 22nd, 1963, the same day that President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Therefore, none of the bizarre events which followed the carefully calculated murder of President Kennedy were recorded into this all-telling black book. But in spite of its abrupt termination, the John F. Kennedy murder diary still affords us a valuable instrument with which to probe the dark aftermath of the president's assassination. Namely, it provides us with a valuable key, a key which might shed some light on the peculiar slaying of Lee Harvey Oswald in the basement of the Dallas police station. Although Lee Harvey Oswald was slain right before the eyes of millions of television viewers, there is still a cloud of mystery surrounding this strange homicide. Motivation. What was the real motive which led to the quick and permanent sealing of Lee Harvey Oswald's lips? Did the evil planners of President John F. Kennedy's murder also prepare Lee Harvey Oswald's sudden and violent end in order to shut him up? Or did the murder of Lee Harvey Oswald occur independently of the President Kennedy assassination plot? While the diary does not answer these intriguing questions, it does head us into the right directions for arriving at the proper answer. At this point, it is only logical to expect that a reasonable mind might inquire about the reliability of the diary's information. On this score, the diary meets the challenge head on and gives a solid account of itself. For instance, the diary places Lee Harvey Oswald down in the lunchroom on the second floor of the Texas School Book Depository at the time that the rifle shots were being fired at President John F. Kennedy from the 6th floor window of the building, and that's exactly where a Dallas policeman and Roy S. Truly, the superintendent of the depository, found Oswald within seconds after President Kennedy had been shot. The policeman and Mr. Truly dashed into the depository building immediately after the last shots were fired at President Kennedy. When they entered the lunchroom, Oswald was standing with his back to the vending machine, drinking a Coca-Cola. Considering all of the factors involved, it would have been next to impossible for Oswald to shoot the president from the 6th floor and make it down into the 2nd floor lunchroom before the policeman and Mr. Truly arrived there. Furthermore, if Oswald had shot the president, it only seems logical that he would have been trying to escape from the building instead of hanging around in the lunchroom leisurely sipping a Coca-Cola. Another entry in the diary that stands up well under fire is the statement which says that the assassin up on the railroad overpass fired right at President Kennedy's throat. A team of doctors at the Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas backed the diary up on this one. The doctors at the hospital said that the president had an entry wound in his neck just under his chin. The Dallas doctors who made this statement, oh no, buddy, gingerly open it. There we go. The Dallas doctors who made this statement were the same doctors who examined the president and pronounced him dead. It stands to reason that they must have known what they were talking about. But a later report coming out of the Bethesda Naval Hospital in Bethesda, Maryland, where the president's body was prepared for burial, completely contradicted the statement made by the doctors at the Dallas hospital. The Bethesda doctors said that the president had sustained all of his wounds from the rear. Needless to say, the report from the Bethesda Naval Hospital immediately eliminated the need for facing up to the fact that more than one assassin had taken part in the brutal slaying of President John F. Kennedy. Of course, the Bethesda doctors had a ready explanation which accounted for the wound under the president's chin. According to the report, the wound in the president's throat was made by the exiting of a splinter from the bullet that hit the president in the back of the head But instead of satisfying the curiosity which was aroused by the wound under the president's chin, the Bethesda report only posed more questions. Could a tiny splinter from a small caliber 6.5 millimeter bullet have force enough to penetrate so much bone and flesh and still make a clean exit under the president's chin? Also, an exit wound caused by a tiny splinter from a bullet would be vastly different in appearance from an entry wound caused by the whole bullet itself. Weren't the doctors at Parkland Memorial Hospital competent enough to distinguish this difference? Officially, every bullet hole which would tend to indicate the participation of more than one assassin has been charged to splinters, coming from one or more of the 3 bullets which were fired from the 6th floor window of the Texas School Book Depository building. Even the bullet hole which was found in the windshield of the presidential limousine was explained in this manner. All in all, there have been entirely too many bullet splinters flying around to be believed as a factual explanation of the circumstances. The mishmash of erroneous and questionable statements coming from high sources has led some people to speculate as to whether or not the federal government is tailoring its reports in order to perpetuate the lone assassin theory. This suspicion was further strengthened when the Presidential Investigating Commission headed by Chief Justice Earl Warren leaked an entirely new version of the Kennedy assassination to the public in May of 1964. The logic behind the beliefs of the skeptics is quite simple. They believe that the federal government is operating on the premise that the damage has been done, but an orderly transfer of power has taken place. So why disturb this tranquil state of affairs? If the federal government is ignoring the truth and embracing such an ungodly philosophy, let it be reminded here and now that the American people have an inalienable right to know the full facts concerning the murder of their 35th president. There is an old saying to the effect that time answers all questions, and it will be interesting to see what new light the years will shed on the dark and shocking assassination of President John F. Kennedy. But in the meantime, this writer's beliefs are inclined to be in rapport with the revelations which are contained in the little black diary. And if there is anybody or any governmental agency which, with evidence in their possession which will refute the contents of the diary, let them come forward now and present their case. The world waits. I don't know about waits. But that's the end of that. All right, Probs. Goodbye. Goodbye.